All righty, everybody. Hello, here we are. Sorry, a couple minutes late there. I was working on something. You guys know I was talking about it last night. I had the optimistic appraisal of being done with it in time to be able to upload it for 1 o'clock today. That was wildly optimistic. Because I actually finished editing this thing at 3:30 my time. So I was like, yeah, oh my Lord. It's an hour. It's over. It's about an hour and 31 or 2 minutes or so, or it might be about 1:33. So it's going to be a lot of information. It's going to be good stuff. And folks, like I said, it's going to be comparing Avery Dassey conviction, some of the circumstances of Avery and Dassey's conviction with another well-known wrongful conviction that most everybody's going to know. And the idea of this is to show how I can compare two cases that everybody's very knowledgeable of, or at least has some knowledge of, and show parallels. And that's going to lead me into a series of videos where I am going to try to do at least one a week of taking aspects from another wrongful conviction that kind of pair up or match up with some of the aspects we see in Avery Dassey, and do a brief walkthrough of the other wrongful conviction, and while doing that walkthrough, inserting bits where it parallels Avery Dassey, and inserting bits to illustrate that parallel. And so that's what I'm looking to move into. So that's another exciting thing that I'm working on. Idea here being to keep it interesting with Avery Dassey content, but to also create awareness of other wrongful convictions, which I feel ultimately helps us support Avery Dassey. So, all right, having said all that BS, which, no, it's not BS, but having said all that, anyways, how you doing there, Paul?
I'm doing absolutely fine. How about you, dude?
I'm good. I'm sorry to hear that Amber just found out her friend is on life support. Very sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paula Bradley. I appreciate it. I've literally been working hard all week. I haven't been on Twitter. I haven't been on Facebook. I mean, I haven't been doing anything other than I've been in my editing software and piecing together this hour and a half, little over an hour and a half upload that I'm going to be uploading for tomorrow. Since tomorrow's a holiday anyway for us here in the U.S., I'm going to be uploading it for tomorrow, basically about the same time I was planning for today, which will be, like I said, about, I'm going to say noon Pacific, so that'll be 2 Central and 3 Eastern. That makes it a pretty nice time for those of you in the UK as well, because it's,
8 o'clock. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm going to try and hit that spot tomorrow with it. Like I said, it's literally done now. Finished it. It's uploading. You guys might even hear the noise from it when it finishes, but you might not because I have my earphones in. But it's literally finishing processing right now. I can tell it's about to be done. It's like tiny little bit away from being done. It's going to be interesting. I hope you're all there to see it. And I like the fact that the case I'm looking at gave me the opportunity to look at Brendan's confession again. I'm pretty stoked about that, because I got a clip of Brendan's confession in there, and I make some pretty harsh criticisms that I enjoyed making. So I'm very much looking forward to my video tomorrow. I hope you guys all are too. Now, all right. Talking a lot about it because I've just spent 2 days working on it. But anyways, all right. Now we're going to get into what we're here to talk about today, which is, faulty forensic science for one, but namely a gentleman by the name of Shabani. What's his first name again?
Sammy.
There you go. Sammy. Swami. No, anyway, Sammy Shabani. So we're going to be talking about him, and that's going to tie in a little bit with David Rudolph, who you guys obviously will know from the staircase or recognize from the thumbnail picture you were staring at before this video started. But anyway, so yeah, David Rudolph, good guy. Well, at least he's a very passionate guy.
He's a good guy.
And he's I've always been pretty impressed with him. And
you got to meet him.
I got to meet him. Yeah.
In Melbourne.
I'm just gonna leave it. I like David Rudolph, folks. I'll leave it at that. So,
and you didn't even give him a T-shirt.
I didn't. No.
You didn't give him a T-shirt.
No. Well, number one, I didn't think he'd want one, and number two, at that point, I wasn't looking to give him anything. You know, I mean, I was willing to shake his hand and congratulate him on the great work he does to create awareness for wrongful convictions and that sort of stuff. But I just wasn't feeling the same juice for him that I felt with Drizzen and Knight Rider. So anyway,
yeah. Oh, but Holden said he did point out that he tried to get all these judges together to do
that.
To get them to look at the
he created it. Yeah, he formed like a little convention for them to all come to, where it was going to be all set up and they could learn and whatever. But they all snubbed him essentially.
Yeah,
they want to remember correctly.
Yeah, they want to maintain their status quo. They're not interested in reform. We saw that with SCOTUS. Oh, sorry, SCOTUS.
SCOTUS. Yeah, there you go.
We saw that with SCOTUS. Yes.
Nothing but a stump needs to watch the staircase again.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I watched it.
Yeah, I've actually been watching that one that was recommended to me by Dr. Silkman yesterday, Murder in the Bayou.
Yeah.
It was D.B. Cooper that got onto me and said, it's still on Sky in the UK. It's on the Sky Crime Channel on demand. Oh, sorry. Excellent. Well, we can stop now and you can just play that.
Go ahead.
Okay. No, sorry, I was finished.
What does David Rudolph think about M.A.M.? Well, he clearly he must have some sympathy or some kind of belief that they are they've been wronged because he was touring around with Drizzen and Knight Rider and here it just so happens.
And not just that though, dude. He was also in the tour with Jerry Buting.
They were touring around together, and we got to go see them in Australia. So clearly, he must have, some awareness of it, and has some issues with the criminal justice involved in making a murder. So.
Nothing But a Stump is asking about, is it on Netflix? No, it wasn't on Netflix. It might be at some point in the future, but it was certainly on Sky Demand.
You're talking about your Murder in the Bayou?
Bayou, yeah. But remember, David Rudolph was also with Jerry Buting at Amsterdam. You never got to see Jerry and David Rudolph together there, and David Rudolph knows a hell of a lot about the case, about making a murder. He actually was operating the PowerPoint presentation for that.
Yeah.
He got all the videos for Jerry. I think Jerry and David go back quite a long time, don't they?
I suppose
Jerry. Well, I think Jerry studied down in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think they go back a long time. That's the other thing you must do is next time Jerry does his presentation, there's actually a picture of him 30 years young.
Right.
You would hardly recognize the
guy. Right. Let's see. Did I see Ripper in here? Oh, shoot. Look at Rip. Look at Rip. Let's see. What's he saying? 7 or 8 hours to go. Oh, yeah. He's on the road. He's headed back from Florida. Ripper's been doing some good work. He's been turning up some very interesting things. I heard he's adopting the housekeeper. So,
is she nice?
That's how to get interesting. Well, she's the one that was supposedly the notary, but when asked about being the notary recently, back in 90 whatever it was when the power of attorney and the will were signed and everything. She says, I wouldn't know about that. I was just the housekeeper. and then Johnny has the proof, the document showing that the seal that had to be ordered because a license had to be renewed in order for her to be a licensed notary public or whatever. So they had to send her out a new stamp. and he has a document showing that stamp was being sent to Carol's address. Like, oh my Lord, it's just like it. Yeah. Oh my God. Anyway, let's see what's he saying. River Jack saying 96. Oh, he's telling me it was 96. 96. Right. So back in 96.
No, that's the speed he's doing at the moment.
That's that too. I was actually in a dilemma of which one to think it was, but
96 mile an hour.
Oh, they are absolutely Ripper, Nosy Wren, Jinx, and Tina Stewart. Even don't forget about her. Pub tender, good old pub tender.
Oh, Tina, yes, I remember her.
So
yes,
they're doing great work over there. They are going to help Don's family find some justice in this, and I'm happy. I'm happy because so much of what I wouldn't call really justice came out of the Tiger King. I mean, yeah, I believe Joe belongs there for certain things, but that whole murder for hire thing was BS crap. Never. I mean, that was all smoke and mirrors created by Jeff and his little henchman. I forget the guy's name again, but anyway, that was all smoke and mirrors created by them. And the fact that the federal prosecutors bought into that, because how many times did Joe fail to pay a hitman? How many times had it been all arranged, all ready to go? The government had tried to do it themselves. They sent in their own guy, and Joe made all the arrangements with the guy he talks a big one, but he would never pony up the cash. And that's what they need for that conviction. So suddenly Jeff comes in, does this whole smoke and mirrors things, tells Joe to go get $3,000 out of the register and give it to Manny or whatever the hell his name was. I mean, it's all like orchestrated smoke and mirrors. So there's not so much justice there, but if Don's family ends up getting justice out of this, I'll count that as a plus. Jeff is a deacon. Who's Jeff? I'm trying to remember who Jeff is. Oh, Jeff. Yes, hit that Jeff. I get to talking about too many things and lose my place. No, absolutely. Jeff is a slick one, dude. That guy is a con artist. So anyway.
No, I've not got my notes that I did have the name of that guy that they were the guy that used to work.
Yeah, for Jeff, right? Manny or whatever. Alan. Oh, Alan. Sorry, Alan. That's what they're saying here. Yeah, Ripper said Alan. Yeah. So anyway, that whole thing was bogus, but it's good. It's good what Johnny and Mystic Jinx and Nosy Wren and Tina are getting up to, and all the people in the group over there looking into this. I don't know if you guys noticed. I got to see it because I'm friends with Ripper, Mr. Hollywood. And there was a clip on Nancy Grace where Ripper and Nosy Wren actually got a mention on Nancy's show. They basically upstaged Nancy. It was awesome. They weren't even there, and they upstaged Nancy. And so it was awesome. But, yeah, anyways, maybe not everybody's gotten a chance to see that, but it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool when I saw it. I was like, they should have called him Hollywood. Anyways, all right. But getting on to what we were going to talk about today.
I've forgotten already.
Have you?
No.
We're going to be talking about Mr. Sammy Shabani.
Oh, yes.
British
man.
Sammy Shabani?
Yeah.
Yeah, British?
Yeah.
Right on. So anyways, we got a couple articles we're going to go through and that we're going to go ahead and talk about. And it's going to be basically dealing with shoddy forensic science. Again, It's been a kind of a common theme lately, but it's in pointing this stuff out is how you create more awareness for the general public so that it becomes noticed. And then you can actually get the problem dealt with. But until it gets noticed, it's kind of a, stuck in limbo, you might say. Anyway.
I found the name of the fella. Alan Glover. Was the hitman. Alan Glover. There you go. I keep all my notes on my desk in front of me. You never know when you might need them. What do you keep on your desk? Dr. Pepper and Captain Crunch.
That's right. I mean Captain Crunch, but
and chorizo.
I actually did buy some chorizo this week. I'm planning to have that for breakfast tomorrow.
Excellent. With eggs.
Chorizo and egg, yeah. The way I generally make it, the traditional way, yeah.
Daddy's recipe. Good.
Sorry, Cherie, it was a clip from Nancy Grace that was posted on Facebook that I got to see. Johnny posted it, that I was able to see it. So, I don't know. Wonder if I could find it. I could probably play it for you right now. Let me see here. Let me see here. It's got to be here somewhere.
Bound to be there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm in the group now, so let me see. It's going to be here. Unless he took it down.
Wow.
Well, keep scrolling. I don't know where it is.
Well, if you find it, you could always put it in the description below, couldn't you?
Well, yeah, I also think it might have been...
Never.
Let me just try one other thing. Look at Johnny. He's got Trisha Bushnell and Aaron Moriarty on his banner for his Facebook page. Isn't that cute? Here it is. All right, guys, you ready? You want to hear it?
Please.
What you're going to do is for her. And the evidence that you're bringing out, you've got people like Jerry Mitchell and Ripperjack and Nosy Wren. They're doing some incredible things online, just like Don't F the Cat. Honey, this is Don't F the Bigger Cat. People are putting this thing together, and they're putting all kinds of pieces of this puzzle right out in front of God's country.
So there you go. That caller was talking about some of the people that have been working on this case and actually mentioned 3, and 2 of those most of us may know. I've known Ripper for been about 4.5. Well, I'd say 4 years maybe now. But and I think a lot of us know Nosy Wren. She's a pretty active member of the community, so that was pretty awesome. Yeah.
Excellent. Yep.
So that's all the great work being done for Don Lewis, and big hand for those folks, because tell you what, Carol looks dirty. She looks real dirty, and she looks like she's skating by on technicalities. So I want to see the ice, get too thin, I guess you might say.
Yeah.
So, all right, now back to what we were talking about.
I've forgotten again. What was it we were talking about?
Okay, we're talking about Sammy Shabani.
Yes, Sammy.
So let me get this screen sharing up here real quick here.
So we're looking for an article from Creation in the year 2000.
All right, and there it is.
There is Sammy himself.
Okay, control. No, not this one. All right. Editor's note, articles in the archives. Okay. Physics, Faith, and the FBI. A talk with physicist Sami Shabani. All right. It's not every day one gets to interview someone with 4 earned science degrees from the UK's world-renowned University of Oxford. Dr. Sami, pronounced Sammy, Shabani, who now lives in Virginia, USA, has a rare combination of expertise in physics applied to trauma to the human body. One of the several hats he wears is that of a clinical professor of physics, teaching the physics of medicine to physicians and surgeons. Sammy has done extensive research in the triggering systems for automotive airbags and seatbelt locking systems. He says crashing into a brick wall at 30 miles an hour, the whole system has to be up and running within about 20 thousandths of a second. His research enabled him to identify failure modes and propose design modifications to reduce the likelihood of death or injury. Taking precise measurements and investigating the physical characteristics of vehicles forms part of Sammy's reports on car safety. Trauma investigations for the FBI help to assess the plausibility of injuries before prosecutions can commence. When the FBI needs expert advice about trauma to the human body in criminal cases, one of their top consultants is Dr. Shabani, he said. For example, a woman in South Dakota had been brutally beaten to death. I was asked a couple weeks ago to determine if her body was found in a position that was consistent with the injuries received. There are often great difficulties for medical examiners and forensic pathologists in distinguishing between blunt trauma from the fall downstairs as opposed to a blow from a baseball bat, for instance, or in child abuse cases where Dr. Shabani often gives evidence distinguishing between accidental and deliberate injury. So Dr. Shabani is asked to apply his combination of physics and medical science expertise. The FBI produces visual exhibits of his calculations to help juries understand the scientific issues. He says, babies by and large do not have fractured skulls from falling off a chair or a changing table. There are those floating plates on a baby's head that don't knit for months. So the baby's head is soft enough to accommodate a lot of the mechanical deformation without generating high stresses. So they will be able to withstand blows which would fracture an adult skull. Babies are vulnerable and fall over easily, so this way they don't crack their skull each time. Once when asked by a criminal defense attorney in cross-examination why baby skulls do not easily fracture, he said, to be perfectly honest with you, sir, I think that's the way God designed them. And there may be something to that. But anyway, as a Bible-believing Christian, Dr. Shabani is fervently pro-life. He sees it as a bitter, tragic irony that the same society that properly spends millions to prosecute those who commit violence on babies also spends millions inflicting fatal violence on babies while still in the womb, just because they are a few weeks younger.
I think you're going to get into a lot of religious stuff then after that, to be honest, dude. I don't think we're going to find it much more else about him.
So, but that's who he is.
Yeah, that's who the guy is.
All right. So that's what he does. That's who he is. That's what he cares about. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah. Probably that little picture at the side probably tells you more about him than there's that little bit there, isn't there?
Yeah. So among his awards is a designation expert by the U.S. Departments of Labor and Justice. There's 100 published scholarly articles to his credit. Surname comes from Sons of Sheba in Hebrew and Arabic, although he is of British ethnicity as far as he can trace it.
Yeah.
So, there you go. Now, zoom in on this one.
Yeah. This is the one from slate.com.
All right. Last week, the state of Mississippi terminated its, let's see here. Forensic science is badly in need of reform. Here are some suggestions.
Radley Balco again.
Hey, look at this, Dr. Stephen Hain. Anyway.
Yep.
Let's see. Last week, the state of Mississippi terminated its 20-year relationship with medical examiner Dr. Stephen Hain. Hain has come under fire from fellow medical examiners, criminal justice groups like the Innocence Project, and one of the authors of this article for his impossible workload, sloppy procedures, and questionable court testimony. In the early 90s, Hain and his frequent collaborator, now disgraced forensic odontologist Dr. Michael West, helped secure murder convictions for Kennedy Brewer and Lavon Brooks, both later proven innocent through DNA testing. The two were released from prison earlier this year. Mississippi is hardly alone when it comes to bad forensic science. It now appears that Washington, D.C. may have to retry Angela O'Brien for the 2000 killings of her 2-year-old granddaughter, Breonna Blackman, after revelations that the prosecution's star forensic witness, a physicist named Sammy Shabani, lied about his credentials in a Wisconsin murder case. These are only the most recent and dramatic examples of forensics fraud to make the headlines. Over the years, there have been plenty of other hucksters and charlatans happy to take advantage of the ignorance of the ignorance of juries, prosecutors, and judges, and defense attorneys in very complicated, difficult to understand disciplines. So he was lying about his credentials, eh?
Well, I think now would probably be a good time to play that clip if you want.
Play the audio of.
Yeah.
All right. This one.
You're just sort of setting it up nicely, by.
This is the one you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
One of the things I really care about.
Oh, actually, what I need to do is stop screen sharing for a moment.
Sure.
All right. So I don't run into any issues.
Yeah.
There.
The proliferation of junk science in the courtroom. You all saw Dwayne Deaver and what he did in the trial and what ended up happening. So I don't want to talk about that because you've all watched that already. But there's another expert, so-called expert, who testified in the trial who no one's ever seen before. His name was Sammy Shabani. And Sammy Shabani talked with a really crisp British accent, so that's no truth. Can't lie with a British accent. And he claimed to have been educated at Oxford, of course. He claimed to be an expert in physics and mechanical engineering. And he also claimed to be on the faculty as a clinical professor of physics and engineering at Temple University in Philadelphia. And so, we had this voir dire, and he was qualified because he testified about all his credentials. But I had done some research on him. It was last minute because we didn't have a lot of notice. And I turned up some stuff that was just a little bizarre about him. And so I ended up getting a hold of somebody at Temple, a lawyer friend of mine, and they sent me the faculty handbook, and his name wasn't in there. And so I started digging a little bit more. And so the clip you're about to see is a portion of my cross-examination of Sammy Shabani with regard to his methodology.
Now, you were also consulted with a case in Eagle Riverville, Wisconsin. Is that right? Answer, yes, ma'am. Question, that was a case where somebody was found dead with her head in a toilet bowl. Answer, that's what the husband claims, yes, ma'am. Now, in fact, in that case, the woman also had a significant amount of drugs on board, didn't she?
Which we believe the husband administered to her, yes.
I'm not asking you what you believe about the husband. I'm asking you whether or not the woman had a significant amount of drugs in her system.
Yes, sir.
Question, and you went there and you put actual heads in toilets, is that right? Answer, as part of my scientific research, I found 3 volunteers, that word may be used loosely here, for 4 hours. I put their heads into the actual toilet bowl where the husband claims to have found his wife because science dictates that you compare apples with apples. The women volunteers were the same height and the same weight as the dead woman.
Is that better?
And I wanted to see if it was physically possible for a woman of that height and that weight with that actual toilet to commit suicide by drowning or to drown accidentally. And the science says, no, you can't. Question. And the science was putting the heads in the toilet? Is that right? Answer. No, that was part of it. I asked these women, put your head in the toilet and see if you can drown yourself. And I'll try and fish you out before you succeed. But they never got close. They just simply couldn't do it. The laws of physics didn't allow them to drown themselves. Was that your testimony? Is that what you consider to be even a part of science?
Of course. You can't make this stuff up, right? The judge then struck his testimony and instructed the jury to disregard his direct. Sammy then walked out of the courtroom. He was never prosecuted for his perjury. And indeed, a couple of years later, as a result of that testimony and some other things that we had uncovered, there was a defendant in Wisconsin, I believe it was, who had been convicted based on Sammy's expert testimony. And I contacted the lawyer in that case who was doing the post-conviction work, and that particular defendant, their conviction was overturned as well. So, thank you.
And there you go.
Well, it actually transpires that when once I discovered the correct spelling of Sami Shabani, then I was able to find out that the case he's actually on about was actually in Wisconsin, the toilet bowl case. So if you want to go on to the next item, which is, did we cover slate.com? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you've done slate.com.
Yes.
So the next one is the San Diego, whatever newspaper that is. Again, a name that we're familiar with, I believe, at the beginning. San Diego, April 12th, 2009.
Toilet test contentious issue in Wisconsin slaying case. All right. So that would be the guy, I imagine. The guy that got convicted.
Yep.
Yeah. Madison, Wisconsin.
If you notice, the article is written by
Foley. Hey, there you go.
Ryan
the
Foley.
The guy who broke Kratz's sexing scandal.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's see here. If you are a female, about 5 feet 8 inches tall, 140 pounds, and willing to stick your head in a toilet, a northern Wisconsin prosecutor wants your help in proving a high-profile homicide case. The Vilas County District Attorney plans to recruit volunteers for a second round of controversial tests designed to prove that a woman was drowned by her husband in a toilet and didn't commit suicide as he claims. The experiments involved positioning women the size of the lake Janelle Plude of Lando Lakes in a toilet to determine whether the version of events told by her husband, Douglas Plude, is possible. Defense lawyers say it is junk science. Plude, 42, was convicted of first-degree intentional homicide in 2002, but the Wisconsin Supreme Court threw out the conviction last year after learning that an expert witness who conducted the first round of toilet tests exaggerated his credentials. Plood has been released from prison pending the second trial, which is expected to begin in October. Prosecutors contend Plood murdered his 28-year-old wife because she was about to leave him. They say he poisoned her with a migraine drug and pushed her face into the toilet and drowned her while she vomited. Plood says his wife was depressed, committed suicide by taking the pills on her own, and then drowned. He claims he found his wife slumped over the vomit-filled toilet and tried to perform CPR to keep her alive. Prosecutors called an expert witness, Sami Shabani, to shoot down Plood's story at the first trial. Shabani said that based on his tests involving volunteers he positioned at a toilet, Plood had to be lying about the positions he claimed to have found his wife in. Janelle Plood also could not have inhaled toilet water on her own, and someone must have forced her head into the water, he testified. Defense lawyers from across the country have derided the tests and called them an example of unfair expert testimony. One of them, North Carolina lawyer David Rudolph, who clashed with Shabani in another case, laughed about the tests in an interview last year. He had women sticking their heads in toilets, he said. That's just not science. How do you peer review that? How do you test his conclusions? Oh, brother. The state high court ordered a new trial for Plood after discovering Shabani lied about being a clinical associate professor at Temple University who taught physicians and surgeons there about injuries. He had no relationship with Temple. Years earlier, he had a loose courtesy affiliation that gave him parking privileges, but little else. Wow, and he trumped that up to being an expert in court. Wow.
Yeah.
That's some larceny there. That would make Klinger proud from MASH. But anyway.
Getting back to David Rudolph's point. I mean, it's a bizarre test because of course you're not going to drown somebody, are you?
Probably not, because then it can be traced to you. Really, I mean, it can be if you're trying to poison somebody or you're trying to make it look like suicide, you want to not end up having a hand in it. But so it doesn't make sense, the plan. But yeah.
But I mean, his test is 4-hour test of trying to get women to see if they can kill themselves, and he's pushing their heads down. You know what on earth is he trying to do there? I just don't get it. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. The Wisconsin Department of Justice is considering whether to charge Shabani with perjury. Unfazed by the controversy, Vilas County District Attorney Al Mustakis has hired Christopher Dam of the Milwaukee School of Engineering to do a second round of tests. Judge Neil Nielsen III last month granted his request to allow the testing of the toilet and a floor display of the bathroom in the court's custody. But wait. They're going to shove people's heads in the toilet at the courthouse?
Well,
at the courthouse?
Well, let's read on.
Dude. Okay, yeah, let's read on. If it's like the public toilets at the courthouse, that's just cruel and unusual. Let's see. The testing is likely to be the same type of testing that Shabani did, Mustakis said. Prosecutors routinely recreate crime scenes to prove their theories of crimes and hire accident reconstruction experts to analyze what might have caused someone's death, said Gerald Maurice, former president of the Wisconsin Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. It's really a question of, is the testing done properly? Is it done according to scientifically accepted standards? And is it someone who is a qualified expert? He said. There are people who hold themselves out as experts who aren't experts. That's a major issue. He added, the type of test you're describing, whether someone could drown in a toilet or would need help, I'm not sure the type of expert you would be able to test. I'm not sure the type of expert who would be able to testify about that. I don't know what the purported qualifications of the new expert is. The old one was essentially a charlatan. Dan, an associate professor of mechanical engineering, said he is a consultant in accident reconstruction and has testified in civil cases, but this would be his first criminal case. He said he said he was still reviewing testimony from the first trial and hadn't yet designed the tests, which are expected to take place in June, but agreed they would be similar to Shabani's. As for the claims that it's junk science, he said, I don't think you can make blanket statements like that. It would take an understanding of why the tests are being done and the methods that were used. Moustakis noted Shabani's conclusions were in line with some of the other evidence, including bruising Janelle Plourde had on her neck. Other medical testimony was inconclusive on the cause of death. So here you go. Yeah. It's interesting.
Well, if you want to go,
look, dude, you can either get your head in the toilet or you can't.
Yeah.
I mean, this doesn't seem like rocket science. Why is this? This is stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, this is dumb.
So the very next day, there's a very interesting blog by Smith the Blog.
Yeah.
It should be the next one I sent you.
You're not listening, are you?
What? I'm always listening, dude. I'm always listening.
Oh yeah, that can wait for next time. Is there some particular thing you want out of there?
No, just basically just to go through the whole lot, and then we get the later on we get the Radley Belco's articles from 2013 and 2015, which again, go into a sort of wider discussion.
All right, yes, we will go into Douglas Plourde and Mrs. Plourde and the whole toilet head in the toilet bowl thing. We will come back to it at a later date.
Sure.
And because I can already tell people are starting to become uninterested because we've gone from we were around 28 in the beginning, we're now down around 20, so I can tell people are maybe getting a little overwhelmed with what we're coming at them with, or they're not interested enough to be able to pay attention for long enough on it. So we're gonna have to break it up a little.
Yeah, break it up. Yeah.
But hey, it's been fun here, everybody. I'm not looking to rush out of here exactly. It's been a lot of work actually the last couple of days. So what have you been up to, dude?
Quite a bit of music actually. I've one of my the album I did 2 years ago. The guy that I collaborated with, he's written a new tune, so I've been popping that onto my computer, which takes quite a while because I do like a backing track like I did with your Come With Me Now.
I'm still waiting for that actually.
Oh right, yeah, I was to put the accordion on it, wasn't I? Yeah. It's on the to-do list. It's like, I have to sort of keep doing a bit of one and then
right. Work. I know what you mean. Yeah. You don't want to mix them up, but yeah.
Well, you have to kind of mix them up a bit, because you can't because if you try and force it,
Yeah. Well.
But yeah, I've been doing that, and as you know, I had Dr. Silkman on with me yesterday. We were hoping to get a chat with Rob Bellin, but he seems to be elusive at the moment. So hopefully we'll get hold of him.
Yep.
Within the not too distant future. But I mean, just one interesting thought, and that is this discussion, this debate as to whether the state will be asking for an extension. Based on the previous times they've asked for an extension, they've done so with at least 8 days to go till it was due to be filed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's due to be filed obviously on Friday, which is the 29th.
Mm-hmm.
By my reckoning, unless they'd asked for an extension by Thursday, that they're too late.
Well, that's if they hold with 8 days early. I mean,
you can't ask for an extension when it's too late, can you?
You can. I've seen them do it like 2 days before.
Oh, right, okay.
So like I said, those things get fast tracked, and the judges see it and they make a decision fairly quickly on little things like that. Obviously, not a case. A case they have to take more time, but on something like an extension or a word count increase or whatever, they can usually turn those decisions around pretty quick. So.
No, it was just a comment that I had looked at the date that they'd asked for the extension, and it was always at least 8 days before it was due that they asked for the extension, just out of, I suppose, politeness, just so as not to annoy the appeal court judges.
Right.
Or obviously in this case, one judge, it's Paul Riley that's looking at it, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
So
hopefully we'll have it this week. I hope we do.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what the state's going to try to say. So.
Well, they have to try and say something, don't they? They have to. And
they know they have to argue it on its merits. Because the appeals court's already made it pretty clear that they're not very impressed with the procedural bar argument.
Well, no.
It's like they have to argue it on its merits now, and that's where they have to actually talk about what they did with these bones. And, yeah, I just don't know what they're going to say. So.
Well, I would imagine the only thing that they can do is that they can keep trying to stress the fact that it was looked at by Judge Angie, and she's made these decisions. She's kept saying, that there's no need for an evidentiary hearing, no need. That's about all that they can do, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're going to struggle to defend handing back bones when there's it's not a constitution, but it's a statute, isn't it? Is that what you call it?
Yes, that's violation statute. Yes.
But the one we would really like to hear about is why did Angie Sukovich immediately stop the idea of an evidentiary hearing when both the state, Tom Fallon and Kathleen Zellner, were actually getting a date put into the diary for an evidentiary hearing. Why she suddenly piped up and put an end to it, very abruptly, wasn't it? It was a very abrupt thing to do.
Well, at least there was deals being made to do more testing of the RAV4, for instance, and things like that. Yeah. And then she suddenly jumped up. Let me address Shuri here. Shuri, I have an upload for tomorrow that only just finished processing when we first started this video. So that's an upload for tomorrow where I'll be comparing Avery Dassey with another popular case that you guys will all recognize. Keeping it a secret, so it'll be a surprise. So that's not right now, though. Today, we're just here to talk about the David Rudolph thing and the Sammy Shabani and the whole head in the toilet bowl and, that type of thing. So that's what we're here today to talk about. Hope that clears that up. Okay. Sorry.
And yeah, that Doorbird was a sort of a case that basically sort of reassessed how the standards of forensic science should be, from what I can gather.
Yeah.
How Cherie's put there, what standard courts to use that allows such an expert to testify. Is it Doorbird or Dorbay in Wisconsin? I believe it is.
Yes, Earl. The blood in the RAV would, yes, the swabs and everything should have been preserved. I would agree with that. What standard courts use this swab? Let's see, but I think it's long gone. Supposedly, yeah. Well, we'll see where those swabs are. I mean, I thought Zellner already got those.
Yeah, she got
determined she couldn't do the age testing on it because it was too degraded.
Yeah. Well, and also there wasn't enough, and also she got hold of the flakes, didn't she? But again, The flakes weren't enough to do any testing with.
Right. So everything was too degraded for them to, it's Carl Reich, I believe, that for him to be able to do his process of being able to figure out the age of the blood. So, any other questions, folks? Anything else you want to ask us here? Like I said, tomorrow at pretty much midday, noon Pacific, 2 Central, 3 o'clock Eastern. I will have my upload set for then. It's going to be about an hour and a half, a little over an hour and a half. I hope to see you all there. See, I have FOIA, the chain of custody on the RAF. I have sent in payment, but have not gotten a response. You should let them know. You should get in touch with them again and say, look, I've sent in money for these things, and show them what the letter of what you were supposed to get. And I've sent in my money, and I would just kind of raise a little hell. And then they're either one of two things. They'll either send you your money back or they'll send you what you want. Unfortunately, I know which one you want. You just want what you're after, the chain of custody on the RAV. But like I said, they'll do one of two things, I think, on that. So it's like a coin toss, I would say. I guess they could be. No, I guess maybe there could be a third option. They could just ignore you, keep your money, and do nothing, I suppose. It would seem ill-advised, but, who knows? It's Wisconsin at this point. Ill-advised is just standard operating procedure there. So, anyway. All righty. So,
yep.
Look like we're getting any more questions. So, all right, folks. Be looking out for tomorrow. Who knows? Maybe even Paul and I, since I'm done now and I have the morning open, maybe after I get done having my chorizo and egg in the morning, Paul and I will go live and do part 2 of this. We'll have to see. So, but I hope you guys all had fun. Everybody stay safe. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe. And we'll see you.
Yep. Bye for now.